Welcome to Visions of Our People, where we feature brothers and sisters who have followed their vision to build businesses, institutions, or services that serve, profit, and uplift our community. Listen as we share the ideas, experiences, and skills that help to shape their unique stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph. Be inspired and catch your vision on Visions of Our People. Now, here's our host.
Aloha Tutashenda, brothers and sisters. Together, we will win. I'm your host, Kefing Mwafrika Moore. Visions of Our People presents milestones in African history, where we feature an excerpt of a historic sermon by Jaramogi Abebe Agyeman, also known as Reverend Albert P. Cleage Jr., that he delivered at the historic Shrine of the Black Madonna, No. 1 in Detroit, Michigan, following the 1967 rebellion. In this excerpt, Jaramogi talks about how the white establishment didn't see the Detroit rebellion as significant and wanted to quickly return the city to business as usual.
You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised.
After a week, 4 or 5 meetings, interviews a day, I am convinced that the white establishment has decided that the rebellion or riot or revolution or whatever it was really was not terribly significant, and that the establishment will return the city to conditions as usual. This is my opinion after talking to any number of people who are in a position to decide whether or not there are to be changes made in the city of Detroit. I do not feel that changes will be made. I think this is most unfortunate. Last Sunday, following service, I talked with Joe Hudson of the Hudson Committee. He said, just call me Joe. And we tried to outline a number of things that ought to be done if the committee was to be meaningful. And the basic thing that we suggested, Attorney Milton Henry was there and Ed Vaughn was there. We tried to point out that it had to be a committee upon which black people had some equality of representation so that the black community could speak on the committee and that the committee then could use its power to do the things which the black community insists be done. We talked to him and he was very pleasant, very nice, very friendly, but he didn't do anything that we suggested, which is very typical of the white establishment. Talk to you, be friendly, and suggest all kinds of concessions that are just about ready to be made, and then just go right along doing everything just like they've been doing it. I talked with a lot of other people in key positions. Roger Wilkins of the Justice Department, our own black Justice Department Undersecretary. And he took a whole lot of notes, just as the Justice Department has done all over the South when Negroes, black people were getting whipped to death. He took copious notes. And then the next day he came back and brought Cyrus Vance with him. We spent all afternoon and Cyrus Vance took notes. Everybody wanted to know, what should we do? And then they nodded and wrote it all down. But nobody has indicated in any kind of a way that any intention exists to do the things that the black community wants done. Mr. Dorr of the Justice Department came out and said he had gathered from the report which somehow got to him, our report on the schools, that perhaps the Justice Department ought to help us do something about the schools. And he would like me to take him around and show him the schools and what ought to be done. Maybe the Justice Department could help. Then he had to leave for Mississippi before we could go around. It's a very peculiar kind of a thing that white people engage in their dealings with black people. We went down and talked to the neighborhood legal service to find out what was happening down there with the prisoners, and it is terrible. A white minister told me that he went to a precinct station when they were bringing prisoners in, and every prisoner that came in had a bayonet wound, and he didn't get it out in the street. He got it when they bayoneted him off of the truck. This was just a part of the procedure of getting you from the truck into the police station. And a black woman who was pregnant was on the truck, and they told her to jump. And she said, "I'm pregnant. I don't think it would be so good for me to jump." But she jumped. And she had a miscarriage there in the street. And they dragged her into the police station and just threw her in a cell with all the other prisoners. And she screamed and yelled and hollered, and they just didn't hear it. The white minister said he went out in the street and he threw up. It's just more than an individual who's been playing at civilization for a number of years can stand. And this is just one of the things. The treatment of prisoners was inhuman everywhere. Some were lucky, but on the whole, it was an inhuman situation. And it doesn't indicate that the establishment or the white power structure has decided that basic changes should be made yet. It's a peculiar thing. I met with the Interfaith Emergency Council. Individuals from all of the denominations. And I say they were the only group out of the many groups I talked to that had any sense of the urgency or the magnitude of the crisis which confronts the city of Detroit. Everybody else was already decided that it was time to put the city back like it was. Just pick up the pieces and clean the street and wash away the glass and bricks, and let's act like it didn't happen. Let's tear down the old pieces of buildings as fast as we can so there'll be nothing to remind us. The merchant on 12th Street with his sign across the plywood that covers his broken windows, "We have come back," symbolizes the attitude of the white community. There he stood with his sign on the windows that had been broken out of his looted store. And he stood in the doorway talking about, "We have come back. This is a good place to do business." And it is. It's a wonderful place to do business. Nobody complains. People take anything. It's a wonderful place to do business. And a little hole in the wall makes $20,000 a year for the man who's got nerve enough to stand there and say, "I'm coming back." So he said, "We've come back, and these are nice, friendly people. Nice, friendly colored people. I've known them for years." It's peculiar. It's peculiar. I see the Detroit News has started a series of articles by Louis Lomax. I didn't have time to read it carefully. I just looked at the front. I wanted to see what kind of commercial approach he had to this crisis. And he had it. He had it right there. You can see it. "Seeds of riot planted here by salesmen." That's his headline. And then the most utterly fantastic story that you could ever imagine. He said there were black people who came here from some place, wherever we have our national riot headquarters. They came here under the guise of being magazine salesmen. And they went went from door to door in the black community, and they would go in and offer to sell, take subscriptions to black magazines. And then they would lead the discussion gradually around to black power. After they took the subscription to Ebony and Jet and there ain't too many more, Negro Digest, then they would lead it around to black power. And they'd ask such questions as, why you let Whitey run that business up there in the corner? And in this peculiar fashion, they planted the seeds of rebellion. In a few weeks, I want to talk to those salesmen. I want to talk to them so bad, I just don't know what to. I wish Mr. Lomax would just bring me one of them, because I want to know his method. I want to learn, how do you do that to black people? I've been talking to him for 15 years, and I couldn't get him to go down to the corner. How can some kid come in and just talk to them in the parlor of their house and suddenly plant in them this intense desire to throw off the shackles of bondage? How can he write it down seriously and expect the white man to accept it seriously? How could either one of them expect it to be read seriously? And yet they did. He wrote it down, they printed it, and we gonna read it, and you'll hear all through the week folks quoting it. Oh yeah, one came to my house. They'll be telling you that Course magazine salesman came to their house. They've been coming every summer for the last 20 years. Some white racket, that's all it is. They come ring your bell, I'm working my way through college, and I want you to subscribe, and you subscribed, and because you're trying to help somebody. Now you're gonna make that the basic method for planting the seeds of right. I'm telling you, there's something weird about the white man's thinking. If he believes that that's the way it happened, that was the cause, something weird. It had to be some kind of a foreign plot or conspiracy. There had to be somebody looking like Rap Brown who came in here from somewhere and told us that we weren't satisfied. This really means that white people still feel that us good niggas in Detroit don't have any resentment. We were happy. We didn't mind paying more for the food that we bought. We didn't mind everything that was being done to us, the police discrimination and brutality, the total fabric of oppression. We didn't mind it. That's what the white man is trying to say. And he's saying it through, through my boy.
The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will be live.
Thank you for joining us for Visions of Our People. We hope that our stories of commitment, perseverance, and triumph have inspired you to follow your vision of creating businesses, institutions, and services that uplift our brothers and sisters, serve our community, and make us the great people that our Creator made us to be. We wish you peace and blessings, and we invite you to join us again for Visions of Our People.